My favorite teacher was Mrs. Elisa Mann, and she was my 3rd grade math and science teacher. She was my favorite teacher because in science class, she used to bring out these crawfish and snails and turtles, and she even let us hold snakes.
My favorite teacher was Brenda Bryant, 4th grade at Cedar Grove Elementary. She taught me more than math. She cared about me inside and outside of the classroom. I'll always remember 8 times 8 is 64 and 12 times 12 is 144.
My favorite teacher was in Belleville, Illinois, Miss Harris. She taught me 6th grade and she invited us to her house at the end of the year for a party.
I had lots of amazing teachers. I'm going to mention just a few of them. Miss Charlesworth in 2nd grade was amazing. She read us Super Fudge every day and we loved that so much, but she was just kind and sweet. I love you, Miss Charlesworth, if you see this. Miss Jones in middle school could diagram a sentence like nobody's business, and I loved every second of it, and to this day I love grammar because of her. And Miss Bayer in high school, she was the coolest, hippest teacher I've ever had, and I just loved everything about her.
My favorite teacher was Lisa Houston. I had her for math, which is my worst subject, and she made it fun.
I had several great teachers in elementary school at West Pelzer. Miss Pridgeon was the art teacher, and she made every student feel unique and valuable. Then I had Ann Lager, and I had Susan McAbee at middle school, and I always knew that they cared about me, and they cared about every student. I also had Lisa Houston in high school, and because of her, I still remember Y equals MX plus B. And also I had Coach C was a great teacher.
My favorite teacher was my 4th grade teacher, and her name was Sally Rankin. It was her first year out of college, and she treated us like we were the most important people in the whole world. She even invited us to all be in her wedding the summer after 4th grade. And I remember I just wanted to be just like her and have a beautiful wedding ring and a Clemson ring, and I achieved that goal, all thanks to Sally Rankin. My favorite teacher was Betty Fleming. She was my 11th and 12th grade English teacher, and she just made English come alive. Every time that we read a book, we would get to talk about it. We would make these big, beautiful posters with quotes from the book and scenes from the book, and we had a tea party, and we went on, when we read the Canterbury Tales, we actually went on our own Canterbury Tale hike and got to dress up, and then we got to stop in the middle of the woods and tell stories, and it was just always something that she just made it come alive.
Okay, my favorite teacher was Lee Madrazo. He was my high school history teacher. He made such a difference in my life.
My favorite teacher was Stacy Huff, who is Dr. Hash now, and I had her for 6th grade, and she made learning so much fun every single day, and was beautiful and kind and never wore the same outfit twice.
My favorite teacher was Coach Langford from Wren Middle, and coached me through high school during track.
My favorite teacher was Christy Sidlow from Franklin, Nebraska. She taught 6th grade, and one of the things that she made with science was she brought in an inflatable planetarium, and we learned all of our science through the course of getting into and looking at the planets and the constellations and the stars. We played games, we learned outside, we learned inside, and she made learning relevant and fun.
Debbie Rogers was my favorite teacher when I was in high school. Debbie Rogers inspired me to do things that I didn't think I was capable of doing because she believed in me. And she taught me to always see the good in someone else. And for that, I'll forever be grateful for her.
My favorite teacher was Terry Filippo. He was my 12th grade English teacher, but he also helped me in newspaper and journalism in high school. And when my grades weren't so good, when I was making a lot of C's, D's, and F's, I always had an A in English, and I always had an A in journalism because he always told me what I did well, and he inspired me to do better in the things that I wasn't treating very well. And he really told me and pushed me in my writing, and even when I failed college and even when I wasn't doing well in life, I still had writing, and it was still something that when I went back to college was a strong thing for me. So I appreciate Terry Filippo. When I think about teacher appreciation, I think about him.
My favorite teacher in school was Nathan Croston in the 9th grade ELA. My favorite teacher was my 8th grade social studies and math teacher, Miss Rita Morrell at Wren Middle School. I love her because she never gave up on me when I got frustrated, and I am the counselor I am today because of her.
So when I think about teachers that really impacted me, one particularly comes to mind. My 5th grade teacher, her name was Miss Hefner, way back in the day when I went to Pelham Road Elementary. And I remember 5th grade year going great, but what actually was really cool was actually years later. We were actually her last 5th grade class, and she retired after that year. And then down the road, as we were high school seniors, she invited us all back to her house for a cookout. And we got to spend some time with her, see each other again, because we had all gone to different high schools. And that's like a really cool lasting memory I have that she kind of provided for us, which really meant a lot to me. And it's just unique and it's different, and I really appreciated it. So Miss Hefner was one of my favorites.
So my favorite teacher growing up was actually Miss Carol Brooks. I had her for 6th grade math. I can vividly remember her classroom, the things she taught us, the kids in the room. But what I remember most is that she really took the time to get to know me as a 6th grader and to give me the support that I needed, from cheerleading to home to school. She also taught my husband and was one of his favorite teachers. So I would absolutely, hands down, say Carol Brooks. Thank you for all you did for me.
It's Teacher Appreciation Week, so we're making this video of our favorite teachers. I can't just pick one, so I'm going to start with 1st grade, and I had Miss Bunny Campbell. I love Miss Bunny. She made me love 1st grade. I have artwork from 1st grade hanging in my office today. Kathy Hawkins, if it weren't for you, I don't think I would have been a math teacher. You taught me to teach math in 7th grade when I didn't even realize I wanted to be a teacher. So I thank you for that. For Tony Smith and Finley Smith, high school was amazing because of you guys. You loved us. I know that you taught us content, but more than that, I know that you loved your students. Miss Stevenson, when I became a math teacher, I loved the rat race so much that you taught us in biology that we made a rat race game in math. And to Debbie Rogers, I think you taught me more about loving people and building relationships than anybody ever has, and for that I thank you. I use that every day in my job, real life. For all of you, I just thank you for pouring into my life, and as I look for future teachers, and I think of the things that you taught me, and those are the people that I'm looking for today to teach our students, and I just can't thank you enough for pouring into my life. So for teacher appreciation, I appreciate you guys.
Okay, so one of the best teachers that I ever had is actually a teacher that is still here today, Miss Rankin. I was in Miss Rankin's very first class back in 2000, and it was her first year teaching, and I will never forget, it was one day we had a really big test, and I felt horrible, and I was like almost in tears because I thought I was gonna fail it, and she was just so sweet and told me not to worry about it, and sent me to a nurse, and just was always so sweet and took care of me. And it's pretty cool now because I get to work with her and I get to teach her kids and everything. So it kind of just comes full circle. So thank you for everything that you did, Miss Rankin.
Okay. My favorite teacher, his name was Coach Aldrich. I had him in high school. It was a history teacher. But mainly the reason I liked him is because he always taught us life lessons, and he always told us stories, and he was just really funny. So I will always remember him as one of my favorite teachers.
Alright, my favorite teacher that I had growing up was Mr. Klumpner. He taught me 11th and 12th grade English at Hebron in Lawrenceville, Georgia. He was a phenomenal teacher, and that is where my love of reading came from.
My favorite teacher of all time, without a doubt, is Coach Francis Bell. He taught me algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 at Palmetto High School. And because of him, I'm a teacher today. But my most proudest moment was one day when I was with him after I graduated, and he looked at me and says, "I am so proud of you because you're such a great teacher." And that says a lot when your favorite teacher says it about you.
My favorite teacher was Dora Royal. She was my 8th grade math teacher, and she's actually the reason why I teach math now. I had her at Liberty High School, and I still love her to this day. She's at the district office.
My favorite teacher at Bryson Middle School was Mr. Chamness. Mr. Chamness taught social studies, which I teach now, and he was great at telling stories. I remember American history because of him and why I'm so interested in American history. And then also a basketball game that he played for review games that I do today in my own class. So Mr. Chamness is why I became a teacher.
All right, my favorite teacher was Coach Riddle at Baldwin High School. He taught U.S. history, and I just really liked it because he was a great storyteller. He never really had anything up on the board. He would just start talking when he sat down, and he was such a great storyteller that everybody listened for the full 90 minutes, and it was just really interesting and a lot of fun.
I have two favorite teachers. The first one is, I'm a little biased, my mom. She was my second grade teacher, Miss Davis at Anderson Christian School. She was so sweet and nurturing and not only cared for me but cared for all of her students just as if they were her own. And that was kind of weird being her daughter and seeing her treat these other students as they were her kids too. But that was what was so wonderful about her. And Mr. Timms, who was my 10th grade biology teacher at T.L. Hanna High School. I never liked science until his class, and now I'm a science teacher. But he was fun, he was really engaging, we all love Mr. Timms, and I'm friends with him actually to this day.
My favorite teacher growing up, as no surprise, was my chorus teacher in high school. Her name was Donna Trout. My 9th grade year, I just fell in love with her. She was awesome and encouraging and just bubbly, and she just cultivated my love for music, and that's when I decided I was going to be a chorus teacher, and I just wanted to be just like her. So that was my favorite teacher, and that's why I wanted to be a music teacher, just like her.
My favorite teacher was my 6th grade social studies teacher, Miss Schotten, because she loved history and she was always so energetic and enthusiastic, and she wanted every student not only to be successful but to love history as much as she did. So she always told stories and gave projects that would tie what you loved into what she loved, and she was just great.
All right, bye. My favorite teacher was from high school. It was my history teacher, Mr. J.T. Humbert. He made such an impact on me. He was the first African American teacher I ever had. He was my history teacher, and he just opened up a world to me that I didn't even know about. So professional. I think about him to this day.
Hello everyone. I'd just like to tell you who my favorite teacher was when I was growing up. It was my 8th grade science teacher when I attended Palmetto Middle School. His name was Coach Callahan, and I enjoyed him because he made learning funny.
My favorite teacher was Caroline McCauley. She was our chorus director when I was in high school, and she made an impact on all the lives of all the students that she taught to sing over the years and stayed involved in their lives, and she cared about every aspect of our life, not just what we did in her class, but what we did in other classes, because if we got in trouble in other classes, we were in trouble in hers.
My favorite teacher that I can remember is Cindy Epting. Right after I moved to Palmetto in the middle of 8th grade, I soon later went to Palmetto High School where I had chemistry class, and I knew nothing about chemistry and I struggled really hard. Cindy stayed every day after school, helped me, she tutored me, and would help me with concepts that were just really difficult. So much so that I decided to take AP Chemistry from her a couple of years later, and she did the same thing again. But because of Cindy, I was able to take chemistry in college where I didn't even have to crack open the book and ace the class because of everything that she taught me. But more than what I learned academically from Cindy, I learned to love my students just like they're one of my own, because I felt like I was one of her own. And she's allowing me to be able to pass that on to the students that I have now. She is truly family to me, and for that I'm forever grateful.
All right, I want to take a few minutes to talk about my most favorite teacher of all time. As a student in Anderson 1, I had a lot of great, outstanding teachers, but one stood out above the rest. When I was in 6th grade, I encountered this teacher named Shannon Holland. She wasn't a first-year teacher, but she also wasn't a veteran teacher at the time. And there was just something about her that I felt like she got me. We connected, and not only did I like her more than any other teacher, but she also found a way to get more out of me than any other teacher had gotten out of me to date. For some reason, she saw some potential in me. She saw something that I know that I didn't think was there. I was, as a 6th grade student, I was a hot mess. I was full of energy with very little ability to focus. I was not in the top half of the class, and somehow she got me there. She believed in me. She spent time with me, was patient with me, and she has always stood out to me as the teacher that had the biggest impact on my life. So fast forward a million years later, 28 years later, I actually have the cool, unique opportunity and privilege to work with her as we speak. So Shannon Holland, I love you. You impacted my life in a profound way. There's no way out. I am where I am without you. I love you and thank you.
My favorite teacher was Joyce Joy. She was my 7th grade science teacher, which was a lot of biology and dissections and stuff, and she's what made me fall in love with science. And I actually wound up majoring in biology, and I love it, and I just put back on middle school, and she was always my favorite.
I went to school in Lawrenceville, North Carolina. It's a little small town, and my favorite teacher was Coach Ammons. He not only was my basketball coach, he was my 8th grade science teacher. He was sweet, but yet he was tough. I loved him, and he was a great teacher.